It's the kind of thing you expect to see in a horror movie. A family murdered with a pickaxe inside their own home. But this is very real, and the killer is still out there. 1 year later, state police say there is nothing to fear, but the family of the victim say they fear that police have botched this case. Here's News 13's Alex Tomlin.
Something has to give. Something has to give.
Cherie Ortiz-Rios will never forget finding her parents and her adopted baby brother dead inside their El Rancho home last Father's Day. She lives next door on her parents' property, and for the first time, she took us inside where the murders happened. That morning, she found her mother still in bed.
When I yelled her name and she didn't move, I started to run toward her, and that's when I saw a hole in her, close to her temple, and dried blood down her face.
On the kitchen floor, her brother Stephen.
He was in his boxers still, with nothing on but his boxers, and he was laying face first right there between where the kitchen table was and the refrigerator.
Her father's body was in the backyard, all murdered with a pickaxe.
It's very devastating knowing that it's 8 years.
And no arrests.
Every day we're actively following up on the case.
State Police Chief Robert Schilling says investigators have completed more than 100 interviews in 4 states and submitted key evidence to the crime lab, but wouldn't say what the results were. He says the public doesn't need to be worried about a killer claiming more victims.
We have no indication this was a random act.
Ortiz-Rios and her husband have long known they were on the short list of potential suspects.
We had nothing to do with it. My God, that was my mom and my dad and my little brother.
The chief insists that detectives aren't just focused on the family, but Ortiz-Rios fears a killer is getting away with murder.
I believe they're going through it with tunnel vision, just specifically focusing on us instead of the real people. I know it had to be people. My goodness, how could one person do that?
Ortiz-Rios says cops have made mistakes since day one, like opening up the crime scene too early.
Hindsight's 20/20 on those, and we certainly get that. And in the final analysis, we don't think we lost any forensic evidence or any lead opportunities as a result of that.
The chief wouldn't speculate on a motive, but the Ortizes did have life insurance. Ortiz-Rios says her family cannot claim the money since they're still on the list of potential killers. Without the money, she says they can't pay the bills, and their homes could be foreclosed.
We could lose everything my dad worked so hard for. I really do have hope. I know this is going to get solved.
Alex Tomlin, KRQE News 13.
Ortiz-Rios says they will auction off some of her parents' belongings and a motorcycle to raise money for a $10,000 reward to find the killer.